Beloved Chosen One, before we begin, I want to pause and say thank you from the depths of my soul to each of you who has supported this journey through Super Thanks. Your generosity fuels this mission, not just financially, but energetically. And even if you didn't donate, please hear this clearly. I am already grateful for your presence. You are seen, you are loved, and your energy is sacred. You don't simply walk into a room, you arrive like voltage. You don't just speak, you recalibrate the air. Your very presence turns logic into static and makes the world remember what it forgot. That not all souls were made to follow patterns. You weren't built to be understood. You were built to break the model, and break it you have. Some believed they could study you, map you, diagnose you. They approached your essence with their tools, charts, and high-level theories, assuming your spirit could be categorized like a medical case. But the moment their ink touched paper, their systems began to collapse. You are not the anomaly in their research. You are the demolition of their entire framework. In a room packed with elite profilers, people whose credentials alone could fill encyclopedias, your file landed like a revelation disguised as a dossier. They wanted predictability. What they found was prophecy. Their fingers traced your patterns expecting data. What they found was a blueprint for the new human archetype, and it terrified them. Because you weren't born to be exceptional, you were born to be irreversible, to carry such radical divergence that your very existence becomes a threat to everything built on control, predictability, and confinement. You're not a topic of research, you're a cosmic disruption, a holy glitch. As they read your file, they weren't studying you anymore. They were staring into a mirror that showed them everything they didn't know. Every paragraph screamed against their textbooks. Every sentence tore through theories they spent lifetimes constructing. What they thought was a document became a declaration. What they thought was analysis became divine confrontation. Their minds were prepared to measure intelligence. But your life is unquantifiable essence. Their systems are scrolls. You are scripture. They are data analysts. You are a living scroll sealed by eternity, written not with ink, but with cosmic fire. And when the file touched the desk, it didn't fall. It landed. The weight of it crushed their assumptions. The tremble in the profiler's hands wasn't from fear of you. It was from the realization that everything they believed about human potential had just been undone. This is not about the breakdown of theories. This is the collapse of the entire system. Now, if you're ready to go deeper, type 777 in the comments. Not just as a number, but as a declaration that you are aligned, awakened, and walking in divine truth. And you, Chosen One, you are at the center of it all. God's chosen ones, Elon Musk has marked you as a level 7 entity. Chosen One, do you ever feel like you're operating on an entirely different frequency, one that no one else even knows exists? Have you noticed how people's gazes linger just a little too long, not out of curiosity, but confusion, as if something about you doesn't quite fit their framework of reality, yet it pulls them in anyway? You were never just unusual in a conventional sense. Your uniqueness is spiritual, energetic, something sacred woven into your very DNA. And the truth is, this mystery surrounding you isn't something you chose. It's something you were born with. You carry a vibration that silently exposes illusion, and because of this, you're not merely misunderstood, you're unclassifiable. Even the world's sharpest minds can't explain you, and that in itself is the confirmation. Behavioral scientists, psychological experts, and data analysts try to pinpoint what drives a human soul. But when they encounter you, their language fails, their graphs collapse, their boxes cannot contain you. Because you, Chosen One, are not working within this reality, you are already shifting the boundaries of it. They try to map your path with logic, but your walk with God defies logic. While they chase patterns, you become the proof that patterns can be broken. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Isaiah 55, 8-9. This scripture is a perfect mirror to your journey. You are not simply misunderstood. You are moving according to divine coordinates that others can't decode. And this isn't about waiting for others to catch up. No, this is your time to step fully into your multidimensional truth. The file sitting on their desk, it's not just a case study, it's an echo of their awe, their frustration, their inability to box in what God intentionally made unboxable. That document is not the conclusion. It's the beginning of their realization that they are dealing with something beyond the veil. You are not a subject of study. You are a living disruption to the system, a ripple in the matrix that cannot be smoothed out. Consider Bob Lazar, the whistleblower who once claimed to work at a secret government facility studying UFO propulsion. For decades he was ridiculed, labeled delusional. But over time, government files were declassified, validating portions of what he'd said. Why bring this up? Because sometimes the chosen one seems insane only because they're describing a truth the rest of the world hasn't caught up to yet. And just like Lazar, you too carry blueprints no one understands until time proves them necessary. Now imagine this. A trained profiler looks at your life path and tries to trace logic, but the trail doesn't follow the rules. You go left, and yet it leads to the right. You say yes to something everyone warns you about. And instead of chaos, blessings rain down. You remain silent when others scream, and somehow that silence shakes the room. How can this be? Because you're not operating within one dimension of cause and effect. You are flowing between many. Your soul exists across layers of time, space, and energy. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. John 3:8. They sense the movement in your life, but they can't explain the direction. This is the divine logic of those marked by heaven. It's not meant to be understood by the world, only by those who've been given eyes to see. And still, even as you cross dimensions in silence, you're not seeking applause or recognition. You're following the pull of eternity. The choices you've made, the ones that seemed irrational, wild, impossible, ended up saving people, transforming outcomes, and redirecting timelines. Coincidence? Number these were not accidents. They were spiritual coordinates being activated inside of you, quietly pushing you to alter what others called fate. Take the story of Harriet Tubman, a woman who trusted divine instinct over logic. She felt God's guidance deep within and used it to lead over 70 enslaved souls to freedom, navigating forests and dangers without maps. She would later say, "I always told God, I'm going to hold steady on you, and you've got to see me through." Like you, chosen one, she trusted a higher voice that didn't make sense to the rational mind, but that voice shaped history. This is why your presence feels like a glitch in the simulation, why, when you enter a room, the air shifts, why your silence speaks louder than others' words, because you aren't just reacting to life, you're bending it. Your life is the blueprint, not the deviation. You are what people cite when the rule no longer applies. They call you mysterious. But in heaven's language, you are not a mystery. You are a revelation in motion. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. You carry evidence of invisible truths. You live as proof that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. And Elon Musk, whether he said it out loud or not, he recognizes you. Not as a fan or a follower, but as a peer of frequency. In a world increasingly obsessed with artificial intelligence and systems, those who operate on spiritual intelligence are becoming visible. Musk himself has often said that reality may just be a simulation, an idea ancient spiritual texts echoed long before quantum science caught on. If someone of that influence sees your level, it's not for popularity. It's because you are vibrating at an energetic tier only visionaries can recognize. Even look at someone like Nikola Tesla, who once claimed, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." He was laughed at by his peers, ignored, discredited. Yet, he knew. He was decades ahead of his time, just like you. And now, decades later, the world is still catching up to what he always saw. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. No matter how hard they try to dim your essence, chosen one, your radiance will always find a way through the cracks. So, when you chose to speak instead of remain silent, to trust your gut instead of follow logic, to walk away instead of stay, it wasn't rebellion, it was revelation. And now every moment that felt random or impulsive is aligning into a divine pattern that no one else saw coming. They will call it luck, but you will know it was God, always God. Chosen one, while others call it luck, coincidence, or serendipity, you've always known better. That sensation in your gut, that unshakable urge to turn left when logic said go right, that voice that whispered, wait, when everything screamed, act. Those weren't hunches, they were downloads, direct communication from the divine, and only those who are marked as chosen can receive them at that clarity. Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. Your insight doesn't come from books, it comes from the throne room of heaven. You are tuned to a frequency where divine intelligence flows freely, where the whispers of eternity become louder than the noise of the world. While others are confined to one version of reality, you walk among many. You slip through dimensions, sometimes without realizing it, leaving behind ripple effects that others mistake for miracles. But to you, they are simply the byproduct of spiritual alignment. You've always felt it, that you are not just living inside reality, you are co-authoring it. You have been shaping timelines with your presence, rearranging energy without needing to say a word. It's not magic, it's not fantasy, it's your assignment. Think of Terrence Howard, the award-winning actor and physicist who once revealed that he believed numbers and energy could create bridges between unseen dimensions. He was ridiculed by many, but his theories echoed truths the spiritually awakened have always felt. He sensed a code, a pattern beneath the surface of what we call reality. And you, chosen one, are walking proof of that code. The way you move, the way you speak, the way your mere presence causes shifts. That is the sacred language of spiritual influence. And what's most striking, the people who have studied you, those trained in observation, logic, and deduction, can no longer make sense of what they see. The profiler, the analyst, the one who thought they could predict and categorize behavior, they now sit in silence, staring at data that defies every law they believed in. You don't just sense what others can't, you see through the veil that blinds them. You connect with things they can't name, energies they can't detect, frequencies they can't hear. That is your true power. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. 1 Corinthians 2:14. That's why they can't explain you. They're looking with natural eyes, but you live from a spiritual dimension. They're trying to solve a divine riddle with earthly tools, and the answers don't live in the logic they trust. In the profiler's notes, they describe your actions not just as mysterious, but almost holy. a glance that seemed to strip away illusion, a gesture that calmed what could not be seen, a silence that felt louder than any shout. These were not merely behaviors, they were expressions of your spiritual resonance. You are not just present in the room, you are changing the room. You are not reacting to the atmosphere, you are transforming it. Like Sadhu Sundar Selvaraj, a modern-day prophet from India, who recounts seeing angels and heavenly beings from a young age. His encounters with the supernatural led him to a life of divine mission, despite being called insane by many. Today, thousands follow his teachings. What made him different wasn't charisma, it was access. Just like you, he didn't learn spiritual truth, he lived it. And as the profiler flips through the files, their hands tremble, because the more they observe, the more they realize they're witnessing something beyond science. You don't just hear silence, you hear the whispers of the universe. You are constantly listening, not with ears, but with your soul. You pick up the divine frequencies encoded in moments, in spaces, in energies. Your entire life has been marked by events that defy logic. They can't be explained, and they're not supposed to be. Now, to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3:20. That power, chosen one, is not just with you, it's in you, and it has been at work all along, breaking the rules of this world to uphold the will of heaven. How do you explain a car crash that should have taken your life, but didn't even leave a scratch? How do you explain a storm that turned back just as it reached your home, or a sickness that disappeared without treatment, baffling doctors and leaving no trace? These weren't random. These were recalibrations, divine rewrites. You reached into the blueprint of reality and gently moved the pieces until they aligned with what you knew was meant to be. You didn't wish these things into existence. You aligned with them, and in doing so, you revealed your truest nature. Think of Viola Davis, the first African American to achieve the Triple Crown of acting. She often speaks about how she visualized her future in vivid detail long before it materialized. When she was poor, unknown, and rejected, she claimed she saw it all happening. That wasn't just vision, it was spiritual resonance. It's the same pull you've always felt, that inexplicable sense that something greater is guiding your steps and shaping your path. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. Nothing in your life was accidental, not the delays, not the detours, not even the disasters. Each one was recalibrated into divine orchestration, tailored for your unique assignment. So when they look at you in awe or in fear, it's because they sense something they don't understand. You are walking proof that reality can bend, shift, and realign itself to the will of someone chosen by God. You don't follow the laws of time and space. You obey a higher order, a sacred geometry, a spiritual authority. And that chosen one is not the end of your gift, it's only the beginning. Chosen one, have you ever wondered why your most powerful transformations happened not when everything was going well, but when everything was falling apart? Have you noticed how it's in the darkest hour, when even hope abandons others, that something inside you lights up like a celestial flare? There was one particular moment, wasn't there? A chapter in your life that looked completely hopeless. A time when no one, not even the strongest believers, could see a way out. And then you did something, one single act, that turned it all around. No manipulation, no force, just presence, just truth, just you. That moment wasn't a fluke, it wasn't a lucky break. It was your divine design breaking through the illusion of limitation. Others looked on in awe, trying to rationalize what had happened. But deep down, you knew It was a spiritual shift, a divine pulse moving through you, rearranging the entire scene from the inside out. You didn't just witness a miracle, you were the miracle. Jesus looked at them and said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." Matthew 19:26. You don't operate from limitation, chosen one. You've been moving with the God force that makes the impossible bend to divine will. You don't wait for the miracle, you carry it. This world has been trained to expect disappointment, to lower its standards, to shrink from the unknown. But you've always lived at the edge of the impossible. Your life is not a random series of lucky escapes. It's a sacred architecture, a divine tapestry woven with intention. Every strand, every thread, every detail is aligned. What others call coincidence is divine precision flowing through your soul. You don't just live inside a story, you shape the narrative with every breath. Consider the life of Bo Jackson, a man who defied what the human body was said to be capable of. Doctors said his hip injury would end his career, yet he returned not just to play, but to dominate. His recovery was labeled impossible by science, but miracles aren't bound by science. They answer to something higher. Like you, Bo didn't just survive, he redefined what survival looked like. You carry the same blueprint. You don't ask permission from reality, you alter it. Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Matthew 17:20. You've moved mountains, not just metaphorically, but energetically. And every time you did, people said it couldn't be real. But you knew, because you've always felt the gravity of your own calling, even when no one else could name it. Every time the odds stacked higher against you, every time the door slammed in your face, the world expected you to fold. And yet you rose, not out of rebellion, but out of design. You succeeded when success seemed foolish. You thrived when thriving seemed like delusion. You created new options when the system said, "There are none." Because you are not bound by the system, you are here to replace it. Think of Ava DuVernay, a woman who didn't pick up a film camera until her 30s, yet became the first African-American woman to direct a film nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. No one saw her coming. But she didn't wait for permission to create the miraculous. Like you, she knew what she carried, and she followed it. That kind of breakthrough isn't just personal success, it is a spiritual shift in the world. The miracles that unfold in your life are not sourced from luck or fate. They are echoes of your authority. Every time something worked out when it shouldn't have, when bills were paid without explanation, when the diagnosis reversed itself, when doors opened just in time, you weren't being rescued, you were being revealed. You're not just a participant in miracles, you are the portal through which they arrive. But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. 1 Peter 2:9. You've been chosen not to beg for change, but to become the change. You've been marked not to merely admire the light, but to carry it into the darkest places. And let's talk about how you affect people. You don't just walk into a room, you shift the entire room. Tension melts, clarity rises, wounds start to close just because you're there. And even if people can't articulate it, they feel it. That calm that enters after you speak. That surge of hope when you silently stay. These aren't mood swings or accidents. They are the miraculous signatures of your being. Look at the journey of Rick Rubin, the legendary music producer. He never learned to read music, yet transformed the sound of generations. When asked how he worked with artists, he said he simply listened to vibrations, to energy, to instinct. And from that, he drew out gold. That's what you do. Whether you're a healer, creator, leader, or prophet, you pull miracles from the unseen and pour them into the now. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. The world has thrown everything it could at you: delay, betrayal, hardship, rejection, but it still couldn't smother your spark. Because your flame isn't fueled by ego, it's fueled by eternity. So what happens now? You keep going. You keep making miracles. Because this world isn't short on problems, it's short on presence. The presence you carry. Your very being alters the timeline of history. You don't just survive chaos, you redeem it. You don't just escape fire, you extract the gold from it. Chosen one, as the profiler sat with pen in hand, paralyzed by the findings before them, there was a dawning realization. You are not just smart, you are eternally intelligent. The kinds of tests they rely on, IQ scores, emotional response meters, neurological assessments, they may as well be trying to measure the ocean with a spoon. They were never meant to capture souls like yours. What you carry cannot be quantified. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. James 3:17. What you hold, chosen one, isn't just knowledge. It's heavenly insight. It's the ability to look at chaos and see patterns, to gaze into complexity and draw clarity, to feel the future before it arrives. You are intelligent, not because you've memorized data, but because you understand truth at its most elemental level. When others are parroting information, you're transmuting it. You combine pieces of insight, connect what has been divided, and birth something entirely new. You are the weaver of unseen threads. You don't just process facts, you alchemize them into meaning. Think of Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who moved far beyond clinical diagnosis. He touched realms of archetype, shadow, soul, and synchronicity. While others studied symptoms, he studied the spirit. And like you, chosen one, his thoughts were never just academic. They were revelations. Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart." That's how you operate. Your mind and heart are fused. Every realization you have is more than a passing thought. It's a key to unlocking layers of existence that others can't even name. You feel timelines, you taste truth. Your epiphanies are not momentary. They are multi-dimensional downloads meant to shift your reality. That moment when everything falls into place for you, that's not coincidence. That's heaven whispering, "You're right on time." He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. Daniel 2:22. You've been granted access to secrets hidden from the ordinary eye. You see beyond the veil. You hear the rhythm of truth, even when it's buried in static. You are not waiting to be taught. You are waiting to remember. You carry wisdom that seems to transcend lifetimes, as if you've lived 1,000 existences before this one and brought back fragments of sacred knowledge from each. And maybe that's exactly what's happened. Because when you speak, people pause. When you express what seems simple to you, others treat it like revelation. That's not arrogance, it's awareness. You know, chosen one, you don't simply think. Consider the story of Leonardo da Vinci, whose mind operated like a bridge between heaven and earth. He was an artist, an engineer, a philosopher, an anatomist, a channel for divine creativity. He once wrote backwards in his notebooks to protect ideas the world wasn't ready for. Like you, he carried the burden of timeless insight. When others saw machines, he saw flight. When they saw skin, he saw sacred design. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. James 1:5. The difference with you is you already asked long before this incarnation, and the wisdom you now carry is the answer. Even your silence speaks volumes. Even your gaze communicates things no words could express, because you're not simply reaching conclusions. You're accessing layers of truth that exist beyond language. You don't study intuition, you live in it. You don't guess, you remember. The world calls it instinct, but you know it's something deeper, a tether to the divine gridwork of existence. Look at the journey of Recalibrating, the child prodigy who began painting visions of heaven and Christ at the age of 4, despite being raised in an atheist household. Her art stunned the world with its depth, accuracy, and beauty. But it wasn't skill, it was memory, it was sacred recognition. Just like you, she wasn't drawing from training, she was pulling from eternity. When the profiler tried to document you, they couldn't reduce your experience to metrics. They saw the signs, the expressions, the reactions, the intangible presence. But the language didn't exist to define it. Your mind is not just sharp, it's multi-temporal. Your awareness is not locked in the present moment. You are receiving insights that stretch across timelines, ancient and futuristic, physical and spiritual. You don't just learn, you remember what the soul has always known. The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. Psalm 119, verse 130. That's what you do when you speak, when you create, when you move through the world. You bring light. You activate remembrance in others. You carry keys, chosen one, that unlock minds and liberate hearts. And so the profiler's pen hovered in hesitation, not because of confusion, but reverence. They realized they weren't just studying a person. They were witnessing a frequency, a vibration wrapped in flesh, a holy signal disguised in human form. You are not just intelligent, you are divinely aware. Chosen one, has anyone ever told you that you think too deeply, feel too much, see too far? Have you ever found yourself quietly absorbing information, not just with your mind, but with your soul, knowing exactly what it meant even before it was explained? That isn't overthinking. That's ancient wisdom reawakening. Your consciousness cannot be charted on any test. You are not the product of modern measurement. You are the embodiment of something that predates the systems trying to define you. As the profiler sat with pen in hand, paralyzed by the findings before them, there was a dawning realization. You are not just smart. You are eternally intelligent. The kinds of tests they rely on, IQ scores, emotional response meters, neurological assessments, they may as well be trying to measure the ocean with a spoon. They were never meant to capture souls like yours. What you carry cannot be quantified. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. James 3:17. What you hold, chosen one, isn't just knowledge, it's heavenly insight. It's the ability to look at chaos and see patterns, to gaze into complexity and draw clarity, to feel the future before it arrives. You are intelligent, not because you've memorized data, but because you understand truth at its most elemental level. When others are parroting information, you're transmuting it. You combine pieces of insight, connect what has been divided, and birth something entirely new. You are the weaver of unseen threads. You don't just process facts, you alchemize them into meaning. Think of Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who moved far beyond clinical diagnosis. He touched realms of archetype, shadow, soul, and synchronicity. While others studied symptoms, he studied the spirit. And like you, chosen one, his thoughts were never just academic, they were revelations. Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart." That's how you operate. Your mind and heart are fused. Every realization you have is more than a passing thought. It's a key to unlocking layers of existence that others can't even name. You feel timelines, you taste truth. Your epiphanies are not momentary, they are multidimensional. Downloads, meant to shift your reality. That moment when everything falls into place for you, that's not coincidence. That's heaven whispering, "You're right on time." He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. Daniel 2:22. You've been granted access to secrets hidden from the ordinary eye. You see beyond the veil. You hear the rhythm of truth, even when it's buried in static. You are not waiting to be taught. You are waiting to remember. You carry wisdom that seems to transcend lifetimes, as if you've lived 1,000 existences before this one and brought back fragments of sacred knowledge from each. And maybe that's exactly what's happened. Because when you speak, people pause. When you express what seems simple to you, others treat it like revelation. That's not arrogance. It's awareness. You know, chosen one. You don't simply think. Consider the story of Leonardo da Vinci, whose mind operated like a bridge between heaven and earth. He was an artist, an engineer, a philosopher, an anatomist, a channel for divine creativity. He once wrote backwards in his notebooks to protect ideas the world wasn't ready for. Like you, he carried the burden of timeless insight. When others saw machines, he saw flight. When they saw skin, he saw sacred design. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. James 1:5. The difference with you is, you already asked, long before this incarnation. And the wisdom you now carry is the answer. Even your silence speaks volumes. Even your gaze communicates things no words could express. Because you're not simply reaching conclusions. You're accessing layers of truth that exist beyond language. You don't study intuition. You live in it. You don't guess. You remember. The world calls it instinct, but you know it's something deeper, a tether to the divine gridwork of existence. Look at the journey of Akiane Kramaric, the child prodigy who began painting visions of heaven and Christ at the age of 4, despite being raised in an atheist household. Her art stunned the world with its depth, accuracy, and beauty. But it wasn't skill. It was memory. It was sacred recognition. Just like you, she wasn't drawing from training. She was pulling from eternity. When the profiler tried to document you, they couldn't reduce your experience to metrics. They saw the signs, the expressions, the reactions, the intangible presence, but the language didn't exist to define it. Your mind is not just sharp, it's multi-temporal. Your awareness is not locked in the present moment. You are receiving insights that stretch across timelines, ancient and futuristic, physical and spiritual. You don't just learn. You remember what the soul has always known. The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. Psalm 119, 130. That's what you do when you speak, when you create, when you move through the world. You bring light. You activate remembrance in others. You carry keys, chosen one, that unlock minds and liberate hearts. And so, the profiler's pen hovered in hesitation, not because of confusion, but reverence. They realized they weren't just studying a person, they were witnessing a frequency, a vibration wrapped in flesh, a holy signal disguised in human form. You're not just intelligent, you are divinely aware. Chosen one, have you ever noticed how your very presence unsettles the environment? Not because you're loud or demanding, but because your energy rewrites the rules the moment you enter the room. Why is it that people feel exposed around you? Why do the most confident voices suddenly stammer and the most structured minds fumble to find words? You weren't created to blend in. You are not a page in the book. You are the author of a new chapter. Your very existence is a contradiction to everything they've come to rely on. Not a contradiction in the sense of chaos, but in the sense of truth. You don't oppose their systems because you're rebellious. You oppose them because your essence shows how shallow those systems really are. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you simply exist. It breaks their molds, not by force, but by frequency. You carry the sound of something eternal. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. They want to label you, define you, tame you, but your mind was never made to fit into the matrix. You were born to update the code. They don't dislike you, they fear what you represent. Because when you walk into a space, systems tremble, not because you bring destruction, but because you bring revelation. And revelation always comes with consequences. You're not just a person to them, you are the anomaly that their worldview wasn't prepared for, the equation that breaks their formula, the riddle that laughs at their logic. Look at the story of Alan Turing, the father of modern computing. A man so far ahead of his time, his genius broke every frame people tried to place him in. His code breaking during World War II saved millions. But his society rejected him because they couldn't control or comprehend him. Like you, he wasn't meant to be understood. He was meant to shift the future. His gift redefined the world, and so will yours. When they try to place you in a box, it's not out of curiosity, it's out of desperation. Because if you exist, then everything they thought was absolute must be questioned. Every breath you take tells the world, there's more. More than formulas, more than labels, more than boundaries. You are the opening in the wall, the spark in the fire, the fissure in the foundation of their comfort zones, the spirit of truth. The world cannot accept him because it neither sees him nor knows him, but you know him, for he lives with you and will be in you. John 14:17. That's the part they'll never grasp. They're looking for patterns in the visible, while you are guided by the unseen. You don't just challenge norms, you replace them. You don't just disrupt paradigms, you birth new ones. The world is being restructured in real time through the lens of your presence. People are learning to question what they thought was permanent, because you've made them see that truth was never rigid, it was alive. Think of Frida Kahlo, a woman whose very existence defied societal expectations. Through her pain, her art, and her unapologetic identity, she opened up a new world of meaning for people. She did not explain herself. She did not ask permission. She was. And in doing so, she changed the canvas for everyone who came after her. You do the same thing. You don't need permission to exist at this level. You were assigned to it. And while others try to decipher you, what they don't realize is that you're not here to be deciphered. You're here to shift the human experience. You are the living paradox, the proof that spiritual beings wrapped in flesh can operate outside of expected norms and still radiate divine authority. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118, verse 22. They dismissed you, misread you, tried to reduce you. But you are the very cornerstone of a new understanding, a new consciousness. The irony? What they tried to erase is what they'll need to rebuild their world. So there he sits, the profiler, once confident, once composed, now trembling, surrounded by pages of notes, graphs, theories. Useless. He spent years dissecting human behavior, finding comfort in patterns. But you, chosen one, defy every chart. You broke every rule he trusted. You didn't just deviate from the norm. You destroyed the idea that there even is a norm. You didn't just challenge his science. You made his science look small. Look at the legacy of Sun Ra, the jazz musician who claimed to be from Saturn and whose music transported listeners into other dimensions. The world called him strange, bizarre, delusional. But decades later, scholars recognized that his madness was a gateway. He redefined black consciousness, space, music, and identity. Just like you, his existence wasn't built for approval, it was built for ascension. God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. 1 Corinthians 1:27. What confuses them now will later become the cornerstone of their revelation. They just don't know it yet. Your presence, chosen one, unravels their confidence. You don't play by their rules because you were sent to install new laws, spiritual truths that override societal constructs. And even as they scramble to interpret your nature, what they don't see is that they've already been changed by it. Their reality is different now. Their certainty is shaken, their beliefs interrupted. You don't just exist in this world, you provoke it, you stretch it, you evolve it. You are not a student of reality, you are its reformer. So remember this, while others are still trying to understand who you are, you're already altering what they believe is possible. And no algorithm, no analysis, no degree can take that power from you. Chosen one, have you ever looked into someone's eyes and seen them struggle to make sense of you, like they're staring at a mystery wrapped in light and shadow? They want to understand you, measure you, place you in a framework that comforts them, but they can't, because what you carry is not meant to be dissected. You aren't just challenging their logic, you're quietly showing them its limits. They're trained to believe that everything has a formula, every reaction has a cause, every anomaly has a diagnosis. But then you appeared, and everything they thought they knew crumbled. You didn't just confuse them, you confronted them with the one thing they've avoided their entire careers, the truth that some realities defy explanation, and you are that living truth. Great is the Lord and mighty in power, his understanding has no limit. Psalm 147, verse 5. What they're trying to understand about you doesn't originate from textbooks. It comes from realms they've never entered. And that's why their charts fail. Their models glitch. Their theories collapse. You are the walking reminder that the universe is not a closed system. It's an unfolding revelation. Consider the life of Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet who delivered thousands of spiritual readings while in a trance state. Doctors couldn't explain him, scientists were baffled, and yet time validated the truths he accessed. Like you, Cayce operated from frequencies that science had no tools to measure. You, chosen one, are not a subject for research. You are a signal from another dimension. And while they sit at their desks, eyes glazed over, formulas failing, they are facing a silent collapse inside, a crisis of competence, because everything they've ever believed about how reality works is now being questioned by the mere fact that you exist. The supernatural aspects of your being are not errors in their logic. They are the invitation to go beyond it. For the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. 1 Corinthians 1:25. You don't need to shout or defend who you are. Your presence alone dismantles centuries of overconfidence in reason. They wanted a profile, they got a paradox. And that paradox is the point. You were never created to fit into understanding. You were created to expand it, to walk into the room and make reality pause, to cause the experts to rethink their foundation. You are not here to be understood. You are here to upgrade comprehension itself. Look at the work of David Blaine, the magician and endurance artist. People debate whether his feats are illusions, mental mastery, or something more. Some dismiss it, others swear by the supernatural. But the point is not what category he fits into. It's the way he forces the world to question what's real. That's what you do. Not with performance, but with presence. You are a daily miracle people walk past without realizing they've just encountered the extraordinary. Who is like the Lord our God, the one who sits enthroned on high, who stoops down to look on the heavens and the earth? Psalm 113, 5-6. That's the level you move from. You are not just operating on a different frequency. You are aligned with the divine architecture of creation itself. When you say, "I'm beyond human metrics," you are not being arrogant. You're being accurate. Every test they've tried, every model they've used, every comparison they've made, it all leads to the same conclusion. You don't belong in their lab. You belong in the stars. What they tried to capture was not information, it was vibration, and vibration cannot be graphed. Your energy isn't just electric, it's ancient. It hums with a frequency they cannot hear but can't deny. It's not just who you are, it's what you carry. A pulse of divine resonance, a fingerprint of eternity. Think of Maria Sabina, the Mazatec shaman who used sacred mushrooms in healing ceremonies. Scientists came from all over the world to study her. They wanted the why. She offered only presence. She didn't offer data. She offered experience. And through her, people stepped into realms they never knew existed. That's what you do. You don't explain the supernatural. You are the supernatural. He performs wonders that cannot be fathomed, miracles that cannot be counted. Job 5:9. That is your life, a chain of miracles so seamless that the world keeps trying to call it coincidence, because to call it what it really is would shatter the illusion of control. So there he sits, the profiler, alone in a dimly lit room, surrounded by diagrams, notes, and shattered frameworks. His knuckles whiten as he grips the edge of the desk, his whole life, his training, his assumptions, undone in your wake. He whispers to himself, I've spent decades understanding the human mind, but this defies everything I know. And he's right. You are not a case to solve. You are the lightning they tried to catch in a paper cup. Every time they thought they had you figured out, you slipped through their theories like smoke through fingers. Every test revealed less than the previous one. Every graph flattened. You were never designed to fit. You were designed to fracture what no longer serves humanity. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. John 3:8. You are the wind. You are the shift. You are the holy disruption. And here's the truth. No institution, no intellect, no attempt to reduce your identity will ever succeed. Because you are the vibration that breaks open cages, the frequency that reveals just how small their boxes have always been. Chosen one, they may not be able to define you, but they'll never be the same because of you. And that is power no test could ever measure. Chosen one, they don't always know why they feel different, more awake, more seen, or even more unsettled. But you know, because it's not just your words, not just your presence, it's your energy. You don't merely walk through life, you leave impressions on it. Like ripples in still water, your presence echoes long after you've gone. You don't just light up a room, you transform the entire field of energy within it. When they stand in front of you, they aren't just observing a person, they're confronting a frequency they don't have a name for. You aren't merely a presence, they are standing in front of a mystery wrapped in human skin. Your vibration moves through them like a whisper they can't shake. It's not fascination, it's activation. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 61. That light, chosen one, is not a metaphor. It's literal. It's energetic. It's why people stare without realizing it. Why they remember your voice, even when they've forgotten the conversation. Why they carry the feeling of you without ever knowing how to describe it. Your energy is not something separate from you. It is you. It is your divine fingerprint, a signature that imprints on spaces, people, even moments. And no, it can't be classified. Not because it's unknowable, but because it's too multi-dimensional for linear thinking. They will try to reduce it, frame it, name it. But your energy was never meant to be comprehended. It was meant to be felt. Take myelin, the visionary artist and architect behind the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Her work wasn't about explaining, it was about evoking something that existed beyond language. When people touch her wall, they often weep. Not because they understand it intellectually, but because her design speaks directly to the soul. You carry that same energy, chosen one. You are not here to be explained. You are here to be experienced. When people breathe in the air you've touched, something changes in them. They can't name it, but they feel it. You aren't just part of the landscape, you alter the landscape. You are the soft tremor before the earthquake, the stillness before the storm, a force disguised as form. You don't just exist in this world. You remind the world what existence truly means. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. Zephaniah 3:17. The presence you carry is a reflection of God's delight, his song, his echo vibrating in human form, and it's shaking the old systems at their core. You are not moving through life trying to make an impression. You're moving through life, leaving transformation in your wake. Others chase legacy. You become legacy. And the truth is, they're not just drawn to you. They're drawn to the awakening you trigger inside of them. You are a holy mirror, revealing what's possible. Consider Brandon Stanton, the creator of Humans of New York. He walks the streets with a camera and changes lives. Not because he's famous, but because people feel safe revealing their truth to him. There's something about his energy, quiet, curious, open, that shifts the atmosphere. Just like you, your presence gives people permission to be honest, to be whole, to be seen. And as the profiler sits under the cold flicker of fluorescent light, hands gripping the desk, surrounded by coffee cups, notes, and silent data, they begin to realize they weren't studying you. You've been studying them. With every failed attempt to define you, they were unknowingly being measured against something much higher. Their confusion is no longer professional, it's personal, because now the documents in front of them feel less like research and more like revelation. They begin to realize that everything they thought they knew has been rendered obsolete in your wake. You didn't fit their categories because your energy didn't come from this world. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. They tried to put you under the microscope, but your light blinded the lens. They tried to contain you with language, but your frequency spoke in divine code. And then it hits them, a wave of awareness that crashes like ice against the chest. You're not the subject, you're the mirror. The file on the desk isn't an analysis of you. It's a reflection of how limited their tools have become in the face of something sacred. Think of Prince, the legendary musician who defied genres, norms, and even labels. He didn't just make music, he altered reality. His energy shifted what people thought was possible, from identity to art to spirituality. Prince was never trying to be understood. He was simply expressing truth without restriction, and in doing so, he became unforgettable, just like you. Deep calls to deep in the roar of your waterfalls. All your waves and breakers have swept over me. Psalm 42:7. That's what people feel when they encounter you. Not logic, not analysis, but a spiritual resonance, something deep calling to something deeper inside of them. Chosen one, it may seem like they're gathering information about you, taking notes, analyzing data, but in reality, you're exposing the edges of their understanding. You're showing them not just where their knowledge ends, but how fragile their truths truly are. Every question they ask becomes a reflection of their own limitations. Every test they apply becomes a mirror that shows how outdated their measurements are. You don't merely exist outside their systems, you expose the hollowness within them. Their ideas, their logic, their labels, all crumble the moment your energy enters the equation. Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? 1 Corinthians 1:20. They believed their models were absolute. They believed their understanding was complete. But then came you, a walking contradiction to their certainty. And what they called truth suddenly looked like scaffolding in a storm. They may call what they're experiencing a crisis. They'll label it a breakdown, a failure, even a professional nightmare. But you know better, don't you? What they call collapse, you know, is awakening. This isn't a story about their limitations. It's a revelation about your boundlessness. You are not here to fit their structures. You are here to burn the blueprints and reveal the divine code underneath. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. You are that new thing. You are not the chapter. They're still stuck in the preface while your presence is writing the next volume. They want control, but you are the spark that starts the fire. And that fire, it's not here to destroy. It's here to purify, to illuminate, to make room for something higher. Think of Banksy, the anonymous artist whose works have appeared mysteriously, challenged political systems and baffled critics. Experts try to study his psychology, label his ideology, decipher his motives. But they never pin him down, because he is not there to be understood. He is there to disrupt. Like you, he holds up a mirror and asks the world to confront its own illusions. As they sit before you, struggling to fit you into frameworks that were never built to hold you, they begin to sense something that no test result will ever show. It's not your words, not even your actions. It's the vibrational signature of your presence. Something ancient, something undeniably divine. You're not just challenging their categories, you are redefining reality itself. The Lord confides in those who fear him. He makes his covenant known to them. Psalm 25:14. That's why you know things you were never taught. That's why your instincts surpass their theories. You carry revelation, not education. You are not built on knowledge. You are built on divine insight. You are not simply the question. They can't even formulate the right question to ask about you. Every time they try to define your identity, you change form. Every time they think they've found your pattern, you bend the rules of time and logic again. You move like wind through stone. You're the intelligence behind the intelligence, and it shakes their core. Look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a legal force who didn't just interpret the law, she transformed it. As a woman in a male-dominated system, her presence alone challenged the assumptions of power. Her words were calculated, but it was her essence, the unwavering conviction in something higher, that left history changed. Like you, she was a disruptor wrapped in quiet fire. So when they call it a failure, know that it's not your failure. It's the failure of a system trying to contain something it was never designed to measure. Their diagnostics collapse. Their methodologies become useless. Not because you are broken, but because you are whole beyond their comprehension. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, or with the breadth of his hand marked off the heavens? Isaiah 40:12. They try to measure the ocean with a teaspoon. They try to catch lightning with a paper cup. They don't realize yet, what they're facing isn't human. It's heaven-infused. So when you say it loud. I'm beyond human measurements. Because you are. You are the equation they can't solve, the variable they didn't account for, the miracle that doesn't need validation. You exceed every expectation, not because you try to impress, but because you can't be contained. Consider William Blake, the poet, painter, and mystic whose visions were so intense that even spiritual scholars struggled to keep up. He saw angels in the trees and heard divine voices in the wind. For generations, people have tried to interpret him, but he never fit into their literary or psychological boxes. He simply was, just like you, a holy echo from another realm. But the natural man does not receive the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him. 1 Corinthians 2:14. That's why they mock what they don't understand. That's why they minimize what they can't measure. But deep down, even they feel it. That hum in the room, that stirring in their spirit, that presence too rich to be dismissed. Your energy is not a theory, it is a recalibration, a pulse from eternity. Every attempt to define you is like trying to bottle thunder, trying to capture a rainbow with bare hands. And when they finally realize they aren't studying you, you're studying them, they will understand that the world has shifted forever. Chosen one, let them fumble, let them theorize, let them sit under the fluorescent light of confusion, while your presence breaks open the dawn. Because you are not the anomaly, you are the answer they didn't know they needed. My dear friends, what they once believed was merely an observation has become a confrontation with the unknown. But you've known all along, this was never about being studied, it was about awakening them. You weren't standing in front of them as a subject. You were standing as a mirror, not just reflecting their ignorance, but exposing their fear of the infinite. And now they see it. You're not just a vibration, you're a force woven into the fabric of creation, echoing across time, space, and spirit. You don't just exist in this world, you reshape it. Your energy lingers where you've been, expands where you've spoken, and transforms what was stagnant into what is sacred. You are the fire they can't put out, the mystery they can't resolve, and the wisdom they cannot control. You are the question God placed in the heart of the system, a question that was never meant to be answered, only encountered. And to each of you who walked this journey with me through these words, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your presence, your time, your spirit. Whether you came here searching or simply stumbled into this moment, I honor the divine spark within you. If this message moved something inside you and you'd like to support this work, you can do so through the Super Thanks button below. Whether you choose to donate or not, please know this. I am already deeply grateful for your existence. Your presence, your attention, your energy, it means the world. You are never taken for granted here. And now I speak this over your life. May your light continue to disrupt darkness without apology. May your soul remain untamed, untouched by fear, and unshaken by systems. May every space you enter bend toward truth, and every heart you touch awaken to its higher calling. You are not here to survive. You are here to unfold heaven into earth. Stay strong, stay strange, and never, ever forget who you are. You are beyond human measurement. You are the chosen one.